And I've learned how much hope is an essential part of any health journey. Because if you just feel like your body is broken and it's all your fault, it breaks you at some point. And then it's like, well, why even try?
Welcome back to the Sunshine Café. I'm Lisa Roers, your host, and hey, thanks for joining me today. I'm here just to pour some positive back into your day with practical tips and stories to encourage and inspire. So let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Sunshine Café. I'm Lisa Roers, your host, and my guest today is Jenna Beam. She is passionate about functional nutrition and she's an expert in the area. She helps individuals reset hormones naturally. And by doing that, she helps those clients conquer migraines and a bunch of other hormone-related issues, all by leveraging good nutrition. I'm so excited to share this powerful information with all of you. So, Jenna, welcome to the Sunshine Café.
Hi, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's so good to have you. You know, there's so much about your story that I'm really excited to hear about and unpack. But before we dive into that, I wonder if we could, just for context, if we can clarify some terms, because we hear terms of herbalist and we hear things like functional medicine or functional nutrition, but I'm not sure if anybody really understands what those terms mean. So maybe before we dive into your beautiful story, can you just
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about what those terms mean and how you got into that business?
Yeah, very good question. So my master's degree was in acupuncture and Oriental medicine. It's what they were called at the time. Now it's East Asian medicine. And that included a 3.5 year program with a full herbal program. And so you're right. When someone says herbalist, that can mean a weekend course or a full master's degree, right? But it is a very extensive program and it is foundationally in traditional Chinese medicine. So those are my roots. Like that's what brought me into health personally as well as professionally. And so that is the foundation of everything I teach. And I bring the 5 element framework, which is a really beautiful framework based on nature and based on 5,000 years of evidence, right? So it's very deep and rich. And then because I'm also, my first degree was in physics. So I'm also very much a scientist and I like to bring modern science in as well, because here we are in this culture. And so functional nutrition is a more modern scientific framework where it's about not just like, oh, let's talk about your digestion, but let's talk about how all of the organ systems are interrelating and how that's impacting your health. And truly, to balance your hormones, you really need to address everybody, all of the different organ systems. And the beautiful thing is the body wants the same things. So you're not just balancing one thing, doing this thing, and then doing something totally different. It's like the same level of nutrition tips and tools and foundation supports the whole structure. And that's how you get holistic, optimized health.
Wonderful. And it's so important because everything in our bodies is driven by our hormones.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's so many foods these days that are if I can say this,
Disrupting.
endocrine, endocrine disruptors. Yes. So everything from our plastics to the toxic food we put in our body can really disrupt that delicate hormone system. And
Yes.
it's so beautiful that you are focusing your efforts and energy on helping people rebalance that. So where do you start in that process?
Great question. Start with the digestion.
Okay.
Because, I have first of all, one of my biggest passions with all of this is creating graphics to help people understand these spiritual and scientific and, esoteric concepts. And I feel like image is my favorite tool to help people. So it's kind of hard for me to do this without my graphics. So
Yeah.
bear with me. But I have a graphic with a pyramid of the downflow of how hormones are impacted in our body. And at the very top is oxytocin, our love hormone.
Mm.
So it's really nice to know that if you want just one takeaway tip, go hug someone you love, whether it's a partner, a child, a best friend, an animal, and like allow that love hormone to flow. And that's going to have a cascading benefit down your whole hormone structure, which is lovely, right? Like number one tip, get a hug, like a good 20-second or longer hug. Let that love hormone flow. And then we have cortisol and insulin. are the next layers that we have to get sorted out before we even get to those sex hormones of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Those are what people talk about the most, but they're so heavily influenced by these other things that if you like, a lot of times I'm hearing a lot of people taking this supplement or taking this and modifying this. And it's like, yeah, but you're working at the bottom and you're not getting you, if you haven't addressed your blood sugar and your stress response, you're not going to hold sustainable change in your sex hormones.
Sure.
So getting the digestion sorted out is the first week, of course. And then the second week is the microbiome. So we kind of break digestion up into two. And so when you learn how to balance your blood sugar and you learn how to have a healthy microbiome, you're already balancing those sex hormones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's, of course, more to do, but
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's part of the reason you have this very beautiful course that you teach on this stuff is it's very complicated in some respects. And yet in another look, it's actually really simple. If you
yes,
understand the things to avoid and the things to add back in,
right.
it's a really simple process. And it affects everything. It affects our sleep. It affects our mood. It affects our patience with each other. So many pieces is really important work that you're doing. So let's back up a little bit and talk about your story and how this surfaced as an area of interest for you.
Yes. So I guess by necessity. So for me, at 17 years old, I started developing debilitating migraines. And at the time, I literally went to a neurologist who told me, you can try acupuncture and herbs, but I'll be honest, they don't work. And what a damaging thing to share to a teenage woman.
Mhm.
And his whole philosophy is, I'm here to treat the pain, not to change your lifestyle. And how backwards that is also.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately I had, but fortunately perhaps in the long run, but getting that bad medical guidance led me down the path of taking tons of medication. And at one point they had me on anti-seizure meds and I don't have seizures and blood pressure lowering meds, but I already have low blood pressure. And then anti-nausea meds, because the result was I was walking around downtown Seattle and literally passing out or throwing up out in public because my body was so dysregulated. And then I was taking heavy amounts of pain medicine, even to morphine was at one point part of the prescription. And I mean, I didn't like any of that. I didn't want any of that. And so the beauty of it is, well, at first I ended up bedridden for 4 months because my body just shut down and was like, no more. And an acupuncturist was like, oh, you're 24 at this point. Like you're 23, maybe. I can't remember now. But it's all a little bit of a blur. But at that point, he was like, there's no reason you can't be healthy because the medical model, I didn't fit the mold of like what a migraine should be. And they kept making me othered. Like, oh, well, you're not responding to this and you're not responding to this and you're in the negative 4% that don't respond and da 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 da. And I'm like, I just felt like this freak of nature.
Mm.
None of the guidance they were giving me was appropriate for optimizing my health. And unfortunately, that's not an uncommon story, as I have learned. And so it was so empowering to go to someone who gave me hope. And I've learned how much hope is an essential part of any health journey. Because if you just feel like your body is broken and it's all your fault and you should be responding to these meds, but you're not, it breaks you at some point. And then it's like, well, why even try? And I was suicidal for a chunk of that time because like I couldn't be in a 10 out of 10 pain level with no hope for however long. And my digestion was wrecked. And of course, my hormones played a role, but we weren't even talking about that at that point. So it required a full overhaul of my life. And then I just like the first time that my acupuncturist drained my headache out my body through my feet, the physicist in me was like, what just happened? How did that work? Right. I was just enthralled. And so I started reading. And for a while, my acupuncturist was like, stop being a student, just be a patient. Because I wanted to understand so badly. And I will forever be learning. Like I am a compulsive learner. I take so many classes constantly, and bridging the physics of acupuncture is part of that exploration. But of course, nutrition, lifestyle, all of that. And it feels really good. Through my 30s, I was very healthy and I barely had migraines, only when things got really out of balance. But then when I entered my 40s, those migraines came back.
Mm, interesting.
And my sleep started to falter. I was like awake in the middle of the night for the first time in my life. I'm like, what is happening? Perimenopause. And so then it was like, oh, this is a different level now of requirement. You know, I need to understand things in a deeper way, and I need to be more proactive in ways that my body was more resilient, because as I now understand more deeply, your insulin response changes in your 40s. Your cortisol response, your adrenal glands change in your 40s, your hormones, like all of these things. So it's just like we have to up level our efforts in a lot of ways. But once you get that baseline down, it's not effort, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's a really good reminder that our bodies change, like our teenager body, our adult body, our perimenopause body, and our menopause body. Those are all we're a living organism, and we're constantly changing and adapting and growing, and our body is trying to adapt to the environment around us and the good foods we put in, or maybe the not so good foods we put in. And when you've got an underlying situation like you had, and you try to put a pharmaceutical on top of it, you're just kind of trying to paint a dirty floor.
yeah, it's a
You
nice
can't
analogy.
you can't paint a dirty floor. You got sand, you got dirt, you got grit and all that stuff on, and that pharmaceutical is just not going to work because well, it might make it a lot worse actually.
In my
It could,
case.
yeah, it could make it a lot worse to the point of even more suicidal thoughts when you start putting more toxicity into a body that's already not balanced very well. And I mean, no disrespect to the medical system, but I think there's a growing revelation and a growing movement that people are understanding Western medicine is amazing for the acute. I have a 105 fever. I need help now. I've got an infection. I need help now.
Right.
Or I've got a broken body.
Right.
I need help now. They are amazing at that stuff. But these chronic conditions that are long-term migraines or long-term pain like fibromyalgia and things like that, they don't have a good system for that yet. And throwing more medicine at it is often creating more issues instead of less. So tell us a little bit about how you moved past the pharmaceuticals and discovered food as your remedy.
Well, and to your point, I believe in the full spectrum of healthcare. And again, I have a nice graphic that has the visual spectrum. And it ranges from our lifestyle and our whatever we're doing, and even our genetic constitution, all the way to like pharmaceuticals and surgery. And I believe it is all needed.
Yeah.
But where my little slice in that graphic is like the acupuncture and herbs and nutrition and things that you can do that decrease your need for that further part of the spectrum.
Yeah.
It's like we want to really we can, like, for example, I had a patient come in, they're like, I need shoulder surgery. And I'm like, you are 32 and you recently injured your shoulder. Why do you need shoulder surgery? And he was so set, like, I need to have shoulder surgery. And then I was like, just schedule it if you want, but give me 2 months and we'll see if you need it. And of course, he didn't need shoulder surgery, right? And
Mhm.
so it's like we need to fit the appropriate treatment at the appropriate time,
Yeah.
or we do need the bigger guns, right? But
Yeah.
I wish our culture would learn how to use that integration. And so that we're not like, if you don't know about the middle, you're going to go right to the bigger things, right?
Exactly. I would love it also if we chose the least invasive first, be gentle on our bodies, take all of the approaches we can, go in the kitchen and, create some amazing medicine with food. And then if all of that stuff doesn't work after, like you said, a couple of months, then try something more invasive if necessary.
Yeah. That's one of my battle cries for this country.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And the other thing that for my course, I talk about, like, everybody's coming in with their own health conditions, right? And then we bring hormone health into it. And it's kind of like they get to find that cross section. And that has been beautiful for the ones that really embrace it. One of the students in the class was in her later mid 40s, so definitely in the perimenopause phase, and also has diabetes. So, and it was such a cool thing. Like, I checked in with all the students afterwards, and it was so fun to hear their aha moments, right? And for her, it was like she has had diabetes since her 20s, or, been diagnosed since her 20s. And she never really understood blood sugar or what it's doing in her body, nor how it's impacting her hormones until this course. And so it was like, for her, it was just like, oh, like even though she's gone to doctors and I don't know what that has all entailed, it was like she finally mastered her blood sugar and just in the span of the course learned not just what to eat but food timing and how important food timing is in the circadian rhythm of the day and of the month. And then also when you're talking about like phases of life, like how that changes at different hormonal stages of life. And she's like, I feel like I have more energy than I've ever had. And I had no idea how easy those shifts could be, right? Because getting your blood sugar balanced. But again, for her, it was like that was the biggest part of the course because she already has another condition.
Mhm.
And others that have had cancer in the past are bringing that into the cross section. Another one is doing fertility. So we're trying to harness the fertility during the perimenopause years, and that also is beautiful. And in her case, her cholesterol went down 60 points and she lost 20 pounds, from just shifting some of this, again, the food choices and the food timing. And it's like, it's so exciting, to be with people in this. And it's like, I love the aha moments. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've done ourselves such a disservice, well, in multiple ways maybe, but we've done our society such a disservice to boil food and diet down to calories in, calories out.
Yes. Or
We
nutrients in and nutrients out. Like,
Yeah,
let's talk about the whole food and variety and the microbiome and think of it like a garden. And like,
right.
that's so much easier to conceptualize rather than I need to eat vitamin D. I need to get vitamin B. Like, what does that even mean in practical terms,
Right. And all of when you talk about different vitamins, even take vitamin C, for example, you can't just extract vitamin C out of an orange and take that as a supplement and have that be as powerful as getting it from an orange because there's
Right.
so many other complementary things that help
Right.
you absorb that nutrient really well when you have it in the whole food. And that's why
Right.
this huge conversation around whole foods is so important because
Yes.
like same with nuts. You can extract a particular vitamin or mineral from a nut, but it's not the same as if you eat the nut.
Right. And, I like to tell people nature did it best. Right? Like when they're like, well, what if I get this thing and I, get this food item that says it added fiber and it added, and I'm like, just eat more kale, eat more spinach, eat more grains. Like we can find ways to bring that math equation of how much fiber you want without some weird chemical lab who know, I don't trust them.
Exactly. Right.
Nature did it better.
Nature did it better. True confessions here. I'll tell you, when I was younger, I thought the only way you could get fiber was from Metamucil. Or some kind of a fiber added thing that you put. Yeah. That I never realized that fiber can only come from plants. It has to be a plant product in order to get fiber. You can't get fiber from meat. You can't get
No.
fiber from eggs. You get fiber from plants. And that just makes a lot of sense. But for some reason, growing up, I never learned the vegetables versus the proteins versus the
Yeah,
fats and the good fats and the bad fats and really what fiber was and just how valuable it is to that whole system in our microbiome. So
it really is. Fiber's huge. And that's why that's day one, we bring that in. And then when you asked earlier about like, where do you start? The interesting thing in the course of the course, it's so circular because everything comes back. And so by the last class, it's like I'm honestly almost repeating everything I said, but it's from a different lens. And that's when all the takeaways come in. They're like, oh, 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 oh. And so that's part of the fun too of being holistic. And I also will say bringing Chinese medicine into it because the elements, I don't know if you're even familiar with the elements or
I am, but my
uh,
listeners may not be. So please go
yeah.
ahead
So for
and
the ones
explain
who
it.
are not, we have like right now, this is spring. So we are in the wood element. And then we go into summer, and that's the fire element. And so that includes like the activity, the vibrancy, the excitement of fire, and that also relates to whole food groups and how we eat differently in the summer than we do. Like spring is everything's rebirth. It's coming up, it's blooming, it's waking back up right? From the winter, which was water element, which is all very, everything's going into the earth, right? And so we eat differently in the winter than we do in the spring and then we do in the summer. And then we have the earth element, which is all about our digestion and coming back to the middle. It's also late summer. And then fall is the last one with the metal element. It's all about bringing in and letting go the lungs, the large intestine, all the leaves fall, and so it's really, when you that simplifies the nutrition information a ton when it's really relevant to, like, you can literally go sit outside and check in with nature and it gives you insights on what to eat, how to live, and what to do.
Right. Well, and with today's transportation successes that we've had, I can sit here in the middle of the USA and I can have any
Right.
food I want to any month of the year. I can have
Right.
strawberries in the middle of winter. I could have watermelon in the middle of the winter. And that's not necessarily how our bodies were programmed. So it's a really good reminder for us to remember that our bodies historically for thousands of years have been cyclical with the changing times and seasons of the year. And so
Right.
even though our modern transportation allows us to have whatever food we want to at any time of year, it's not
Hmm.
necessarily how our bodies are wanting to eat. So, can you describe a few more of those kinds of examples?
Yeah. Well, and it's also how we cook them. Chinese
Mm.
medicine is really against eating raw foods pretty much any time that it's not warm outside. So for here in Seattle, that's basically like raw salads only in the summer. And I also call spring kind of a mix. I go for a hot cold salad where if I have roasted veggies, I'll throw them on some greens and maybe blanch the greens depending on things. But this is how you optimize your nutrient intake and you're simplifying like your digestive fire needs to be cultivated, right? And so when we put a bunch of raw things or ice water, the culture of ice water is just brutal to your digestion. Chinese medicine is very anti ice water all the time because it's like you have this digestive fire that needs to help you process all those nutrients that you just brought in and give it to your body, and you're dousing that fire before you even begin that process.
Interesting.
And so, and things like eating ice cream in the winter is so crazy to like, because now you're having heavy cream, sugar, and cold all in one. It's like, here, let me just like block your digestion and your hormones and everything all at once. Whereas in the summer, you can have that as a nice treat once in a while, right? Because it's warmer. Your body has to work less hard to keep the digestion energy, which is also your immunity, right? So we need that Dantian fire, the lower digestion energy, also fuels your whole body for your immune system, your energy to go out, your metabolism. One of my favorite aha moments from a student who they reported, they're like, something clicked to them when I told them there is not a metabolism organ, right? Like when you see ads on the TV, like, oh, take this and it'll improve your metabolism. It makes me laugh because I'm like, what is it doing? Right? Which system are you actually doing anything for? And how can you promise that that's going to help this person who you don't know what else is going on in their body improve their metabolism? But when we talk about the word metabolism means like how things work together, right? And so when you understand that by optimizing this, this, and this, you're actually improving your metabolism and it has a direct impact with how much energy you have and your weight management and all the things that we consider part of metabolism. But again, the way we cook, like if we eat a bunch of raw things and our metabolism can't handle it, it's going to actually make us lower energy. So
Yes.
in the winter where it's all about soups and stews and roasted veggies and like all of that, now we're in spring, so it's a lot more fresh things, more lightly sauteing versus the deep roasting and the stews. Um, so that's a big part of the what is common in Asian cultures, like as their date, like things that they just learn by being part of the culture. We here in the US really need to learn some of that wisdom because like just tiny shifts make a huge difference.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. I so want to sign up for your course. That sounds amazing. I,
It'll
you
be
know,
this fall.
this fall, well, so we've got time to prepare for it. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. There's so much that I am just a little bit like you in that I'm just my learning appetite is just never satiated. I always want to learn more. And the more I learn, the more, like you said earlier, I start connecting the dots and realizing things like metabolism is not a direct thing that we influence, but it's an output of the other
Yes.
things
Oh,
that we
well
are
put.
changing. Yeah, right. It's the output of changing and balancing our hormones. And when someone's getting headaches, no, don't just, I mean, yes, water helps, but what about the other things in your body, like the red dye and the yellow dye and all the different things we're putting in that are affecting our body poorly? Again, you can't paint the dirty floor. You have to get things cleaned up first before you can start putting things into your body that are going to be
Right.
helpful and create good outputs. Good outputs like good energy, and good outputs like nice, peaceful sleep, and good outputs like a balanced, non-anxiety mental state. All of those
Yes.
things are outputs. Like you said, I love that you said that we don't have a metabolism organ. Yeah. We don't have an anxiety organ either. It's all of these
Right.
things that are unfortunately a little bit more complex and yes, take a little bit more time, but it's so worth it because if you make permanent change there, you get permanent results.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle rather than, it's about being hormone healthy rather than doing some sort of fad crash diet. I call it the hormone reset because it's resetting your hormones. But I use that term also to be like something you come back to, right? Like you go on vacation and perhaps you eat really hormone unhealthy foods and enjoy your whatever, your family, your friends. Then you come back and you reset. You come back and you reset. So it's like it's an ongoing reset. It's not like do this once and your whole life will be better for the rest of your life. Like you can do sit-ups 2 days in a row and have a six pack for life, right? No, it's not. It
Wouldn't that be
requires more.
nice?
But I would love to talk when you were just talking for a second, it reminded me to share that again in the spring, the liver organ is responsible. Like you were talking about, we have to those endocrine disruptors. You can't. I like your analogy. You can't paint a dirty floor. So in that same analogy, let's think of our liver as the janitorial staff that's cleaning up the floor before we paint. And so a healthy liver is fundamental to healthy hormones, to healthy digestion, to healthy emotions, to healthy sleep, da 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 da. So again, you can see how circular all of this is. But this is the season to support your liver in the seasons. So eating more greens, everything green affiliates with the liver, and it has that chlorophyll in there. So it's cleaning the cleaner, right? So I love this analogy. Let's keep it going. But like if your janitorial staff has not very good cleaning supplies, then they're not going to be able to do their job. So it's like eating the greens is cleaning the soap that the janitorial staff, the liver, is doing to clean the floor so you can then paint.
I love it. Oh, that's great. Yeah, our livers are so important. Everything in our body is so important. And I think the more you learn, the more integrated you realize your whole body is this huge, beautiful domino system of, you affect one thing and then it has a ripple effect over three or four other areas as well. And so it's so important to learn. So, do you ever run into students or people maybe in your travels or clients that you're talking with who just don't want to take the personal responsibility and they just want to rely on the doctor or the pill or whatever it is, and they want to
Sure.
dismiss and hand all of that over to someone else? How do you encourage them to adopt a curious mindset?
Well, that is the language I use is a curiosity. Like hormone health, in my experience, it's just who I am now, right? Like it's so much fun. Like I'm on a mission to figure out the most delicious meals you can create from hormone healthy ingredients. And it's just this fun, playful, if you only have hormone healthy ingredients in your kitchen and you're creative enough and you're just like, let's try this, let's try this, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
But I did have a student get very angry with me about the course material because she doesn't like to cook.
Yeah.
She was resentful of all of the changes away from sugar and away from things that were part of her lifestyle, that it really brought up anger. So it really showed me the importance of coaching people through this. And so the patients and students, there's a half of the class were patients also. So we get a lot of one-on-one time outside of the class to really help them implement. And so the next round is I'm going to bring in a coaching aspect to it because I want people to succeed, right? And so for that patient or that student, she just was really angry and was like, well, it doesn't work for me. And so I just said, okay, you know, I appreciate your feedback. I took it all to heart. I tried to But at the end of the day, I'm not making up this stuff. Like,
Right,
it's like
right.
the body and the hormones want what the body and the hormones want. Like, even the circadian rhythm, like the same student got angry. She was like, well, what if my circadian rhythm is different? And I'm like, well, we can live any way we want within that 24-hour clock, but these are the things happening at these times
Mhm,
in
mhm.
your body. Like, whether or not you, honor that and lean into it, or you resent it, or what, that's a choice, you know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, are you getting the results you want? Like,
E
do you feel good in your body? And in this person's case, they were not feeling good in their body. But at the end of the, I mean, but I can't force. I mean, I'm not here to do that.
Yeah,
One of the first rules of medicine is you could only help people who are asking you for help. And I
exactly.
have a practice and I have a course, so people are asking me for help. So I don't need to go chase down anybody who isn't, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
that's okay.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. There's something about people who, if anyone is asking you to drop soda, coffee, sugar, name it, whichever it is, if you find yourself, this is really important to listen to. So if anybody's out there, come back to me. If you've got distracted, if someone suggests someone as brilliant as Jenna Beam here, who is suggesting to you with all of her background that you drop something as simple as sugar for a time period because she knows it's going to help you, and if you find your initial reaction is to be angry, it's very possible that you literally have a chemical dependency on that thing. We're seeing science about how dependent chemically we are on
Yeah,
sugar and caffeine, and
absolutely.
all it's like it is a drug,
And
right?
alcohol.
Alcohol too, right?
Yeah.
It is
Yep.
a drug. So
Yeah.
I mean, they are chemical addictions, just like
Yes.
a drug addict. And if you're finding yourself getting angry about making a change, that might be a really good red flag or a sign that it's time to make a change. Take your control back and start
Yeah.
embracing how great you could feel. So,
Right. But
yeah.
I do think that offering more coaching, especially like my class is 6 weeks, and I think I want to extend, like have a 3 months afterward, or just a check-in once a month and bring it back. And so, yeah, I've already, like, based on her feedback, it really helped me restructure how to support people through it that are not, because there were only like 4 or 5 people that weren't patients coming into the course. So I checked in specifically with them, and some of them really like got their takeaways. And one of them is a mom. She's in her 40s, but she has a toddler, and her partner is a personal trainer. And he was like, do these things, do these things, do these, from a very masculine approach. And she was like, it didn't feel right. Like some of his advice. And then she took this class and she's like, because he doesn't understand hormones. And like it brought, and like, again, the food timing was one of her big ahas. And she was like, it makes me a better mom, because what she was doing before was having a sugar crash. And then she's irritable and frustrated with her young toddler, and just changing her blood sugar balance in the morning with what she ate and when she ate it. She's like, I am so much more relaxed. I'm so much more chill. There's so much more patience. And like, okay. But she was willing to take that change, right? And
Yeah.
so we always have to be open and willing. And one of my big takeaways, or one of my big things I say, add before you subtract.
Mm.
If there is something I'm not ready to give up. I'm not ready to give up the sugar yet. It's too much part of who I am and how I live and what I depend on. Okay, add more vegetables, right? Let's start with adding, and then we can revisit what we need to subtract,
Hmm.
because it's sometimes that's an easier in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we still need to let go of that thing, but if it's too, it's like, okay, we can be gentle.
Yeah. Yeah. You always end up crowding out then the thing you don't
Right,
want any more of. Put all the good stuff in first. And if you
right.
still have desire and space, you can add, the thing that you're trying to move away from.
Well, and that microbiome we talked about earlier, a big life hack for everyone out there. When you change your microbiome by adding more plants, you crave less sugar, because what you feed your microbiome is what your body craves. So it's like we train, each of our microbiomes is ridiculously unique to our lifestyle. And it's so changeable. Even in 3 days, you can change your or start to change it in powerful ways. And
Hmm.
when you really let go of sugar, you quit craving it altogether and you crave the hormone healthy foods because it's like it's full of colonies of little microorganisms, right?
Yeah.
And so when you give it a lot of plant materials, you are then feeding those plant-based ones that actually go to your estrobolome, which is the part that helps your hormone detoxification. So it's a huge part of your hormone balance right there in the microbiome and your mood, your emotions, right? So by adding more plants, if you take nothing else away from this little interview, please eat more plants. Enjoy them because they are making a huge difference. And then it makes it just like, oh, whatever, sugar,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't have control over me anymore.
And then when you do eat sugar, it honestly doesn't feel as good as you think it would. And especially over 40. Sugar isn't the reward it once was. Sad. I mean, and if that's sad, sorry. Like, but it really, in a way, that's super empowering because if it's not going to give you that lift you think it's going to, then you can just like, well, then what's the point?
Exactly. Exactly. And I love making a game out of it. How many,
Yeah,
I like to collect how many plant type items I can get in a day. And we
I love
make,
that too.
yeah, and you can actually make some fun competitions with your kids that way. And if you have
Oh,
a
yeah.
salad with 4 or 5 things on it, then you got 4 or 5 already, and you just kind of start adding them up throughout the day and you can make it into a fun family
I
endeavor.
love it. Well,
Yeah.
and one of my biggest things is rainbow veggies, getting all the colors because each of the colors has different nutrients. And kids love that. They're like, well, wait, I didn't have red today. Like, okay.
Go get the red.
And that's so fun because it's also teaching them nature's multivitamin, right?
Yes.
And getting them excited about it and tracking that. If they're tracking that from a young age, like, okay, I didn't have orange yesterday. That's huge because how many grown-ups get in a rut where they're like, well, these are the 3 vegetables I like. So I'm going to buy these 3 vegetables every day for the rest of life. And then the microbiome, it's like a garden that's not diverse and
Right.
it's not robust. It can't handle that cold that somebody else has. You're going to get sick because your body can't fight because
Exactly.
70% of your immune cells are in your gut.
Yeah. I wanted just a quick story to kind of illustrate this. I was visiting with a good friend of mine, and he was talking about how he's got to get the hot dogs and all the other junk food that he was going to get because the grandkids were coming over. And we had an interesting conversation, and I think it's just really valuable to share because I said, one of the best gifts you can give your kids and your grandkids is teaching them how to eat well. So when they're your age, they're not dealing with all the different hormone challenges that you're dealing with, or the migraines, or the osteoporosis, or whatever it is, because you didn't feed your body well. If my mom, my grandparents had given me that gift, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So I guess there's one thing on that, but I wouldn't have had the physical health issues that I had. So it's such a gift. And if you can find a fun way to get your kids engaged with eating the rainbow of plants, and if you can get them involved in some healthy competition for how many plants you can eat in a day, that's a fun way to get them learning something that's going to serve them for life.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost at our time out. I just want to say thank you so much, Jenna, for your time and your expertise. And you just have just a beautiful energy and just a joy about this topic that it's really exciting to learn with you and from you. So I hope people will check
Thank
out
you.
your course and your offerings. Where can people find you?
Yeah. Healthdiscoveryacupuncture.com. And I have a YouTube page and a Facebook page and an Instagram page. So if you want to cook with me each week, I'll be putting out videos all the time. I'm really excited about that.
Oh, excellent. I'm going to sign up for that. I love new recipes that can help our family eat better. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Well, thanks again for your time, Jenna. You are a beautiful soul. I'm so glad to have you on the program, and I appreciate your information so much. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you, Lisa. It's a lot of fun.
Jenna is amazing, and I have to apologize because we had some significant technology issues when we were trying to record that episode, but the wisdom is still there, and it's still extremely applicable. I have 6 great takeaways for you today. Number 1, hope is your first step toward health. If you feel stuck or frustrated with your body that's starting to give out on you, or that your journey is just really wearing, give yourself permission to have hope. It sounds kind of like a small thing, but this one shift in your mindset can put that whole machine into motion for real, lasting, healthy change. Number 2, your digestion sets the stage for everything else. So pay attention to your gut health. It affects your hormones, your mood, your sleep, your energy. Try to eat more plants. They're fiber rich and they're full of nutrients, and our body knows exactly what to do with them, as opposed to some of the other junk that we tend to migrate toward. But anyway, be curious and enjoy experimenting. When you do that, you can start noticing how your body responds to different foods. Number 3, balancing your hormones means supporting the whole system. Hormones do not work in isolation. Healthy digestion, good quality sleep, and effective stress management is going to start to shift the path you're on toward a more healthy, happy future. Number 4, food is medicine. Use it wisely. Eat in season. Foods begin to lose their nutrient value from the moment they're harvested. So eat foods that are in season so you can get the most nutrients from them. And then also choose whole foods, which will boost your energy and help regain your hormone balance. Good, nutrient-rich foods do far more than supplements alone because they have all the other complements that go with that vitamin. Like an orange has vitamin C and all the other complementary nutrients that go along with it. Just start by adding some more greens and vegetables to your daily meals, and you will be so glad you did. Number 5, our liver is our body's janitor. Treat it well. Support your liver with nutrient-dense foods because the liver is your body's cleaner. It helps your body detoxify naturally. So include leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, and plenty of water, as these things are like the soap that cleanses your body's cleaner. And finally, number 6, curiosity fuels empowerment. And let me tell you, it's so encouraging when you just let yourself learn, because the more you understand about your body, the more you understand the language it's speaking and how you can make small changes to enjoy better energy and better health, the better your life is going to be. So feel free, ask questions and notice patterns. Keep a food journal to kind of just help you remember how you're feeling and what foods you ate that helped you feel that way. You are your best health advocate. Thank you for joining me today, friends. Please share this episode because you never know what kind of encouragement might be in our conversation that someone else you know needs to hear. So pass it along, like it, and subscribe. Let's flood the world together with more encouragement. Until next time, my friends, stay encouraged, be inspired. There is hope, and I'll look forward to seeing you right back here next time at the Sunshine Café.